Good afternoon. I'm Joe Napoli, City Manager, and welcome to our second Zoom to noon and session. We did one of these last month, and the full intent of what we're trying to do is give residents an opportunity to ask questions, and then we've got planned questions that you've submitted. We'll answer those, and then we'll address any other questions that you may have. So this is a wonderful opportunity, I think, to engage directly with our residents, address some of the issues or questions that they may have, and then also just get a feeling for what is important to our residents and if we're meeting your expectations. So we thought that this would be a great opportunity once a month during lunchtime to do a Zoom with our residents and be able to connect with you. So we have an agenda, and what we're going to do is I'm just going to briefly go over. We're really trying to get everybody connected to the city. We have several means of connecting with the city and want to make sure that you're aware of all of those. I'll give a very brief update on some of the projects and upcoming meetings that we have, and then we'll go directly into the questions that you had. I believe we received 13 or 14 questions from you all beforehand. We'll go through each one of those, and then of course you can type in and send out any questions that you may have as the session is going on. And then I'll just talk about some upcoming special events that we have. Now, I would like to say, unlike last time where it was just myself and Michael Bello, our communications director, we have several of our staff, our directors actually, that are online. We have our public works director, Tom Good. We have our utilities director, Raj Verma. We've got our CFO, Aaron Kendrick. We've got our community development department director, Carlos Vega. And I believe we have our police chief, Chief D. Giovanni, and I'm not sure if our fire chief is on yet, Chief Harrington as well. So I'll try to address your questions that you have, but I'm going to also ask our staff to chime in and give more detail if necessary. So Mike, let's go ahead and go to the next slide and get things rolling. Again, if you have a question, you can go ahead and press the Q&A function that should be on your bar during the Zoom session, and then we'll be able to go ahead and answer that question as you submit it. Next slide, please. So connecting with the city right now, if you want, you can scan this QR code, and that'll sign you up for our electronic newsletters. And our electronic newsletter we send out every Thursday, and it's a very detailed newsletter that provides things that have happened in the city, things that are going on, upcoming events, recognition of people, introducing you to our staff. So a plethora of information we send out every Thursday in our newsletter. Plus, throughout the week, we'll be sending updates, and we'll be sending announcements on activities that are going on, some of the things that are going on in the city. So please go ahead and sign up for our electronic newsletter. You can use this QR code. You can also go to our website and sign up there. Next slide, please. And then also please connect with us on social media. We use every avenue possible to connect with our residents, but we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and also we send out an electronic newsletter not an electronic newsletter. We send out a hard copy newsletter every quarter that should arrive at every residence in the city. So please use all of our, I forgot to mention YouTube, we're also on YouTube, but please use the social media sites to get information to the city, because we're constantly pushing out information on all of our social media sites. Next slide, please. So I'm just going to give an update on a couple of the high visibility projects that we have. And I know a lot of you have questions and are interested in what's going on with our pool. First, I'd like to say we had planned, this is part of a ARPA project, American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. I believe you all know the city, we're going to be getting about $18 million. We got about $9 million last year. And this is one of our projects from the funding that we got last year. And we put this out to bid, and we selected the contractor, and we did this early enough where we thought the work would be complete by the summer. But unfortunately, for a variety of reasons, it has not been complete. We've had to add on because the contractor did find some additional work that needed to be done. But we also put the contractor on a timeline. And unfortunately, the contractor has not met that timeline. That's why we're well into the summer right now. But just want you to know that we do have in the contract that they're actually being fined $250 a day since June 24th until the work is complete. So they are under a financial, and we are talking to them daily on how the progress is going. The primary reason for the slow movement of this project, unfortunately, has been supply chain issues, getting all of the supplies and materials that they need. We did receive an updated projected completion date on this, and completion timeline, and so we're about 3 weeks expected for this project to complete. But as slow as it's gone, I know that the city, our expectations are for that, but hopefully it'll be done by then. But that's where we are on the community pool project right now. Next slide, Mike. And then the Stirling, this is a big one, Stirling Road roadway and drainage improvement. We're going to be doing significant roadway improvement. It's really a drainage project, but it's going to complete roadway improvement on Stirling Road between Palm and Flamingo. This initially started out as a surtax, a project that the residents approved a couple of years ago, that we paid for by the penny for transportation surtax. If that wasn't going to be moving quick enough, when we were going to use ARPA money, but we have gotten into the timeline for the surtax project. So right now we're finalizing our agreement with the county and to do the design, and that hopefully that'll be done the end of this year, early part of next year. And we're hoping that if everything progresses, that the construction will start late next year. But this will be a significant improvement to the drainage, to the roadway, to the beautification and landscaping of Stirling Road. Next slide, Mike. Another ARPA project is the Bill Lips Drainage Improvement Project. As many of you know, been to Bill Lips, it does tend to flood at certain parts of the field. So we have a project underway right now to address the drainage issues, particularly in the baseball dugouts, in and around the baseball dugouts. We have a contractor that is finalizing the design, and hopefully we can get into the construction phase of the drainage project in the near future. Next slide, Mike. A lot of interest, obviously, in the Forest Lake Dog Park. Due to residents' request, at the end of the day, that dog park was affecting the residents that were in close proximity to the dog park. Some people were within 50 feet of the dog park. Our city commission took all of the information in and assessed and eventually made the decision to close that dog park. However, with the caveat that we would find another location for a dog park. And we looked at several locations, and we've really zeroed in on a dog park at Brian Piccolo Park. We are in conversations right now with Broward County on having that dog park now moved to Brian Piccolo Park. And the talks are going well. I'm relatively optimistic that we are eventually going to have a very nice, large modern dog park at Brian Piccolo Park, but it's not going to be done overnight. It's going to take a while for us to work through this with the county and eventually identify the resource requirement for that and get our commission approval to establish that dog park there. But I am optimistic that we're eventually that we will have a dog park at Brian Piccolo Park. Next slide, Mike. Just so you know, we are well into budget season. We have submitted our proposed budget to the city commission. The city commission will discuss the tentative millage rate at our next commission meeting on July 26th. And then if you all wish to participate, we have budget workshops scheduled for August 9th and August 16th. And then in September, we will have our budget hearings. The first budget hearing and the second budget hearing we'll have in September, when the commission will finalize and approve the budget as well as the final millage rates. So here's the questions that we received prior to today. And again, if you wish, you can press on the Q&A on your screen and go ahead and submit additional questions. But here's the questions that we have. on hand right now, and these are the answers. I'll go through the answers. I'll ask our directors if they wish to chime in on anything that, additional. But one of the first questions is, why does my utility bill change from month to month? And the bottom line is the utility bill is based upon usage. And so if your usage changes from month to month, then your utility bill is going to change from month to month. And particularly if you have large flow fluctuations, generally during the dry season, during the springtime, in the wintertime, we don't get as much rain. So people use their sprinklers a lot more if they have sprinklers at their house. And so that's going to cause a fluctuation in usage. If for some reason that you need to fill your pool, whether you've done some maintenance on it or just during the dry season is evaporating more, then that's going to cause some fluctuations. And then also if you have a leak, if you have any sort of leak in any of your pipes, your toilets, then that's going to cause an increase. So those are some of the reasons that will cause an increase or variance in your water bill. But at the end of the day, it really is based upon usage. But if you do have any issues, then feel free to contact our customer service department for utilities, and we can look at your bills individually and try to determine any issues that you may have. Raj, I don't know if there's anything that you want to add on to that.
No, Joe, I think you covered it well. And in case anybody has any questions, it is all depend on how much water is used, and that is how the bills are determined. But if they have any additional questions, obviously, they need to feel free to, ask us. We'll be happy to answer the questions.
Okay, thank you, Raj.
Yeah.
Mike, can we go to the next question? Again, this relates back to utility billing, but the basis of this question is do we give a credit for people who are refilling their pool, like if they've had done maintenance or they have a new pool? I think the county may do it for some places in the county, but at the end of the day, we do not. We can spread that payment out over a 2 to 3 month billing cycle, but currently we do not have that, we do not offer that to our customers. What we do offer, though, is that if you use more than 10,000 gallons per month, then it will be capped at that, and so you won't be charged for more than that. And that we also, just so you know, it costs about $80 to $90 on average to fill a pool. So that's what the additional bill would be if you filled a pool up during a particular month. But this is a good question, and it's something that now that it's brought to our attention, we will explore doing something similar to what the county's doing. But we'll go ahead and explore that, see if it's feasible, and then work with our commission if in fact we make that if we think that that's what we should do. We'll make that recommendation to our commission. But if you do have specific questions on this or anything with your utility billing, there's the customer service department and the option that you press to speak to them directly, and they'll be happy to go over this with you one-on-one if necessary.
Joe, if I might, I want to also add to the previous question as well as this one here. In terms of why that bill also will change, is that we've indicated properly that it's based upon consumption, but not all consumption is equal. In other words, your bill is tiered, and so that first 5,000 gallons, and we charge by per 1,000 gallons, and the first 5,000 is $3.34 per 1,000 gallons, and then it goes up from there. So your next 5,000. So from 5,001 up to 10,000 is at $3.86 per 1,000 gallons. And then there's another tier for the 10,000 to 20, and then 20 and above. And so based upon that consumption, you will not be charged the same amount per 1,000. And so that you will see fluctuations in your bill because of that as well. Also, we will not charge any excess over 1,000. In other words, it has to be an even 1,000 plus. And so if your first 1,000 gallons, we would charge an X amount for that. But if you only use 1,500, you won't get charged for that additional 500 until the next month when you go over another 1,000 again. And so you will sometimes see where you've used more than 1,000 gallons and you didn't get charged for that second additional amount, because we won't charge it until it actually clicks over the additional 1,000 or 2,000 mark. And so that will actually cause fluctuations in your bill related to the first question, as well as the second question that just came up as related to the water.
Okay, Mike, can you go to the next question? This is a pretty simple question and actually a simple answer, but certainly appreciate it, because we actually get a lot of questions on this. So I'm glad this was raised. And is a permit required to change out a split air conditioning system in the house? And the bottom line is yes, a permit is required. And there's the information to our community development department if you wish to call and ask more questions about that. And I'm going to ask our community development director, Carlos Vega, to talk a little more in detail about this, but also talk a little about our queueless queuing system, where we've really eliminated you all coming in and waiting in a long line to be serviced at the community development department, at the building department. We have a system now where you know how long when your appointment is, and then you can just come in when your appointment is, and it gives you a waiting time as well. But Carlos, you can talk a little more about that.
Absolutely, Joe. And yes, that is correct. A building permit is required per the Florida Building Code. If you're altering, repairing, or changing any HVAC equipment, there will be a permit required. We'd be happy to assist you with that. In regards to our queueless system, we launched it about late fall of last year, and it's been an incredible system that gives our residents the opportunity to sign in remotely. The queueless has an app that you can download, and what it does is it gets you in the line without you have to being physically in our lobby. Our lobby is open to the public from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. But if you feel more comfortable, we particularly started doing this during the pandemic for social distancing. It gives you the opportunity to log in. You can do it from our website, you can do it from our kiosk in the building, or you can do it from the queueless app. It puts you in the line, and as the line progresses, it updates you. It sends you a text message. It lets you know where you are, what place in the line you are, and once your turn is called, it lets you know that you're ready to come in, and it tells you what window to go to. So it's a great tool. It gives us the opportunity to continue communicating to our residents, and that transparency of where you are in the line, how long it's going to take, and gives us an opportunity to give you some of that peace of mind for social distancing.
Thanks, Carlos.
Yes, sir.
Okay, our next question is about the north side of Stirling Road. When will the beautification on the north side of Stirling Road be completed? I think this is a two-part question, but I think the basis of this question is really talking about the ficus on Stirling, close to those areas. And the bottom line is that we are going to be removing that ficus. It is going to require some sort of a system to water that area. So we're going to have to put some irrigation in there. So we're working on that, and we've also issued a purchase order to have that ficus removed and to replace it. But I also want to, actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask our Public Works Director, Tom Good, to add on to that, and then also to talk a little about what we're proposing to our commission for a beautification master plan as well. Tom, are you on?
Yes, thank you, Mr. City Manager. Appreciate that. So, yeah, just to, you did a pretty good job of covering for this north end of the Stirling Road within the Flamingo Gardens area. So we are clearly in the process of having that work completed. As you stated, we do have to go through a demolition, but we hold off on demolition until we make certain that the irrigation is installed and that the plant material is available so that we don't have a bad look for a period of time. So once the old comes out, the new goes right back in. So we look to have that completed by the end of this fiscal year. And in regards to the citywide master plan, landscape master plan, the city is bringing forward or is actually engaging a consultant and bringing forward to the commission for approval support to prepare a landscape master plan, which is a vision. It's a guiding document. It kind of lets us know what we want to see in the future for the city. That's a signature for the city throughout the city. So the consultant will be engaging the public extensively. They'll first engage the public and some of the community groups for the city to collect information. And then after they collected information, they'll put together some concepts. They'll bring it back to the community groups and to the community for more input. Again, refine that master plan, and then come back with a final that can be agreed upon by everyone, so that Cooper City then will be very comfortable with a unified vision for landscaping throughout the city.
Great. Thank you, Tom.
Mhm.
Okay, the next section, this is hot topic in Cooper City. We're Tree City, USA. We have so many trees, beautiful trees, beautiful canopy. But at the end of the day, we certainly do have issues with some of our trees. And the question is, why won't our city take responsibility for the trees that encroach upon homeowners' property? The city does cut, they do see the city doing some trimming of trees, and but we don't do it all, is really the basis of the questions. And the person's asking that, why is that? Well, the bottom line is, at the end of the day, our city code indicates that it's the property owner's responsibility for the trees in the right of way abutting their property. So that's what our code says. But the city does do, as the question indicates, the city does do some trimming and servicing of swale trees, particularly those over streets, so that we maintain a uniform canopy and ensuring that none of the trees impede traffic. But we do not do the tree trimming for the entire city. It's the abutting property owner's responsibility according to our code. But like I said, we do a small portion of it to try to maintain uniformity along the streets and to make sure that none of the trees are creating a danger for traffic. So that's the way our city code is right now. That's where the responsibilities actually lie. And I can understand some confusion on residents' part, but at the end of the day, it's a resident's responsibility. But the city does do some, like I said, to maintain uniformity and to make sure there's no danger to traffic. Tom, I don't know if you want to add on anything to that.
Yes, Mr. City Manager, just one thing. So, we are also always open to phone calls to investigate things like that. So the public can call our office at 954-434-2300 and just let them know that there's a concern, and we will have it investigated and responded to as accordingly.
Thanks, Tom. So this really goes back to the previous question, and really, again, the trimming of the swale trees, if there are abutting property owners or a resident's property is the resident's responsibility. However, we do trim, again, to maintain uniformity and make sure there's no dangers to traffic. FPL does trim trees along the power lines. That's their responsibility. And then for cleanup operations, of course, we have a contract with a vendor, so that during or after a storm, that vendor would help us clear areas of debris, particularly from trees during a storm's aftermath. Tom, you want to add anything to that?
No, again, Mr. City Manager, they can always call our office if they have specific concerns.
Okay, all right, thank you. Again, obviously, trees are an important issue here, and understandably so in the city. Another question on trees, and the requirement if you remove a tree from the swale, what is the requirement? Are you required to replace it? And at the end of the day, yes, there is a requirement to get a permit to remove a tree from the swale, and you will be required to replace it. Tom, do you want to go into detail on this?
Well, essentially, Mr. Manager, what happens is that if somebody wants to remove a tree, they need to come to the city, they need to get a permit. They do need to post a bond,
Right.
and the bond guarantees the replacement of the tree. And so, if they don't replace it, then there's a penalty that's associated with those folks who don't put the trees back in.
Okay. And it's chapter 18 of the city code that covers this in detail. But again, if you have any questions, please call our Public Works Department. Number one, you do need the permit, and they can go through the whole process with you. There's a question on code violations, asking how someone can get a code list of all the code violations in the past 60 days, or it could be an undetermined period that the resident may wish. You can submit a public records request. You can either call that number there, or you can send an email. Probably emails would be quicker, but a phone call works as well. But if you send an email or call our clerk's office, you can request that information, and it will be provided to you in a timely manner. Our police department, who code works for, has these records, and then we'll be happy to provide them for you if you wish. Another question on RVs. Do RVs that are parked in your yard, legally, of course, do they need to be covered? And the answer is no. Our city commission last year changed the code so that they do not need to be covered as they were required to be before. So the answer to this question is they are not required to be covered. There's a question on SeeClickFix. SeeClickFix, I think most of you all know, is a means for reporting what code violations or actually any issue that you may have with the city. And it's using the SeeClickFix app. And that system is set up so that when an item comes in, it is filtered and then sent to the corresponding department that is required to answer or address that particular issue. So every SeeClickFix item that is sent to the city is reviewed by staff and assigned to the appropriate department. And then that department is responsible for resolving it. What you will get is a answer that, or a text back or a response back that indicates that it is being addressed. However, what you don't get, unfortunately, is a status report on how that item is being addressed when it ultimately is addressed. So we understand this limitation. We understand that residents would like more information once they submit something on how it, not only that it's going to be addressed, but how it's being addressed and when it ultimately has been addressed. So we're working to identify an alternate to SeeClickFix that we would procure that would have much better two-way communication with residents. Right now, we're just limited in doing that with SeeClickFix, but we're looking at we're looking at a mechanism that we will be able to do that. We hope to roll that out in the near future, but certainly understand the bottom line question here and concern that you aren't getting sufficient feedback once you submit a complaint to SeeClickFix, and we're addressing that. This is unfortunate. We do quarterly or periodic Shred-a-Thons through the Broward Sheriff's Office, and I think this was just a miscommunication. But cars come, line up, and they come and they drop off their items to be shredded. And evidently, an individual came with a bicycle at the last one and was not allowed to drop off their materials. So that's certainly a valid request by a resident, and we've already spoken to our BSO city district. I think this was just miscommunication, but certainly in the future, we will always be able to accommodate bicyclists who are coming to drop off items for Shred-a-Thon. And I don't know, Chief Giovanni, if you want to add anything to that.
No, we always welcome the feedback, Mr. Napoli, from the residents on how we can do things better for the public. And I understand that there may have been some concerns with the safety of pedestrians or bicyclists in a vehicular line, but I believe there's also ways that we can safely accommodate all parties. So thank you for the feedback.
Thanks, Chief. Any more, Mike? A question on the city center. So the city center, and again, this is a pretty vague term, but the city center concept idea that is out there generated from when we were doing our strategic plan. If you may recall, last year, the city undertook an endeavor to produce our first ever strategic plan. And what a strategic plan does is it really identifies the vision for the city within the next 5 to 10 years. And it also identifies priorities, and it also identifies a way forward to achieve those priorities and vision for the city. And really what it does is it puts everybody on the same sheet of music, the residents, the commission, and the staff on moving in a common direction on what the city sees as its vision for the future. And what came out of this last, and we did a significant amount of engagement with the residents. And what came out of a lot of the feedback from our residents was really a gathering place. The city doesn't have a central gathering place. We have a lot of parks that we have sports complexes, but we really don't have a gathering place and for the within the city. And that concept of a central gathering place or a city center is really just a concept. It hasn't been fully defined. So we brought it to the city commission's attention that this was one of the areas we would like to address in the strategic plan, and the city commission directed us to engage with an urban planner to help us identify the feasibility, number one, potential locations, and what a potential concept would be for a city center. No, there has been absolutely no decision on this. We're in the process of trying to identify an urban planner to assist us with this. But number one, we have to determine if it's feasible to have a city center here in Cooper City, where that would be, and what a concept would be for it. So that's where we are now, very, very much in the preliminary stage. And what our city commission did make very explicit that if we did move forward on this, then it would be put up to the residents in a referendum for them to approve this. So again, it's just a concept right now, pretty vague and ill-defined, but hopefully we'll be engaging with a consultant to get us to a potential concept that our city commission will approve and ultimately the residents will approve. Anything else, Mike? Okay, so last month was LBTQI month. And, we recognized that in our newsletter and on some of our website and on some of our social media. And so a question came in in those letters, what does the I stand for? So the I stands for intersex, which is to be inclusive of those who they don't fit into a typical notion of a male or female body, but they consider themselves intersex. So that's what the I stands for. Any other questions, Mike? Okay, so that's all the questions that we had in advance. I don't know if we've gotten any since we've been on, Mike. Have we gotten any additional questions?
No, we have not, Joe.
Okay, so what I'd like to do, since we've gone through all the questions, is just very briefly let you know of a few major events that we have coming up. On August 20th, over at our fire department, we're gonna have Autism Awareness Day. That's always a wonderful event over where our fire department is. On September 3rd, over where police and fire is in that parking lot in front of police and fire, close to the sports complex, we're gonna have our bike rodeo. That's always a lot of fun for our young bikers. And then on September 17th, we're gonna have Touch a Truck. So those are some of the events that we have coming up. Just last Friday, we had a wonderful E to the B, well attended. Everybody commented about how much fun it was. We got a lot of great feedback for that. And of course, during the springtime and the cooler weather, fall, I'm sorry, we'll be planning another E to the B. But you can get all the information on, events going on in the city. If you go to our website, you can see it right there, coopercity.gov/calendar. And you'll be able to go to our website and identify, and look at all of our upcoming events that we have. Next slide, Mike.
So that's
Okay.
really all the slides we got, Joe. And
Okay.
at this point, no other questions have come in.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate it. First of all, Mike, thanks for putting this together. All of our directors and chief for being on. I'm going to ask any of our directors and chief if they have anything else they'd like to say. If not, I'll close it out.
Mr. Napoli, if I could just remind the residents too that we do have the National Night Out Against Crime
Oh, that's
on
right, yeah.
Tuesday, August 2nd, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. here at your local police station. We're going to have the whole team out here for you to interact with. It's going to be a family fun event, food trucks, DJ, balloons, face painting for kids, completely free. Back to school giveaway supplies being given out by numerous vendors for free as well. And also showcasing a lot of the new technological equipment the city has invested in through ARPA. We'll have some of those items on display for the residents to see.
Great. Thanks, Chief. Yeah, that's going to be a great night. We haven't done it in a few years, so hopefully we have a great turnout. Anything else? Anybody have anything else? Okay, well, I'd like to thank all of you who, first of all, submitted questions. We had a lot more questions this time than we did last time, so hopefully we'll even have more next time. I appreciate everybody for submitting questions as well as attending today. This, to us, is great, getting great feedback from our residents. We know what's important to them, and we're always happy to assist in answering your questions and addressing any issues that you have. So please spread the word on this forum. Look forward to having much more participation next time, as well as many more questions. So thanks to our residents for showing your interest in our great city. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month.